Project Management Process Groups, or PZs as I call them for short. Let's talk about in detail about the process groups. So first thing is, as I told some time before, process group is simply a group of processes. The name itself is process groups. That means it is a group of processes. PMI defines the process group as such. It's a logical grouping of project management processes to achieve specific project objectives. So we have 5 process groups: initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing. And in every process group we have a set of processes. In initiating we have 2 processes, planning 24 processes, executing 10 processes, monitoring and controlling 12 processes, closing 1 processes. Together we have 49 processes which are spread across the 5 PZs. So what happens in initiating process group? In this PZ, the processes help to define a new project or a new phase of a project by obtaining authorizations to start the project or the phase. So be very clear, it also happens at the beginning of every phase, not only project, also at the beginning of every phase of a project. Planning process group. Here the processes establish the scope of the project, refine the objectives, and define the course of action required to attain the objectives that the project was undertaken to achieve. Or simply speaking, you are defining the scope, establishing the scope, creating a course of action with respect to schedule, cost, resources, etc. Then executing process group. The processes performed in this process group are there to complete the work defined in the project management plan to satisfy the project requirements. The project management plan is created in planning process group, which is a combined plan of all the individual plans: scope related plan, schedule related plan, cost related plan, and that plan, that is the project management plan, is executed in the executing process group to satisfy the project requirements. In our next process group is MNC, which I call it as MNC, monitoring and controlling process group. Easily to remember is MNC. So it is multinational corporation, but here it is not multinational corporation. Here it is monitoring and controlling. Easy way to remember though is MNC. In this PZ, the processes track, review and regulate the progress and performance of the project. Identify any areas in which changes to the plan are required and initiate the corresponding changes. So you have created the plan, now you are executing the plan. As you execute, there will be some tracking has to be done, review has to be done, and of course you have to check the progress and performance of the project. And you identify where you need the changes with respect to plan, and if any change requests have to be raised, they are raised in the MNC process group primarily. And the last one is closing process group. In this process group, the processes finalize all activities across all process groups to formally close the project or a phase or a contract. So the formal closure of phase, project as well as contract is happening in the closing process group. Now here is another tip for you. It might look very less important but very significant as you give your practice test. Many times people confuse. They think initiate or initiation, initiated, these are process group. They are not. The wording is initiating, planning, and the tip is telling you every process group ends with a plus ing form. Planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, plus ing form. So if you have a question in the exam and they will knowingly confuse you, because they will have a question, they will ask which process group it belongs to: execute, executing, executed, execution. Now all are looking same. So it will be going to be executing process group.